Hi, everyone. Maybe we can wait a couple of seconds to allow many of you to join in. Couple of seconds more. And then I can start sharing with you some thoughts and some reflections about our program. Okay, we can maybe start, and then others will be joining in the next minutes. I hope you can all hear me well and see me well. My name is Stefano Braghiroli. I'm Associate Professor of European Studies at the University of Tartu, and more specifically at the Johan Schutte Institute of Political Studies, which is the home of our program, International Relations and Regional Studies. When it comes to the program, my role is of coordinator of the EU-Russia module. I'm also heavily involved in teaching in the other modules and overall in the structure of the curriculum. And today it would be really my pleasure to share with you some initial thoughts and ideas about the program to make you more familiar with what we offer and what we cover, and then again to answer any of your questions. So again, feel free to post your question at any time in the chat box, in the chat, and again, I will address these questions once we are done with, let's say, this short introduction. I will now share with you some slides. They won't be many. I prefer, let's say, to have a conversation with you, but I just want to share with you some initial thoughts. Just a second. I hope you can see my slides. And I would really start with, let's say, a very basic general question, which is, I mean, I'm sure that a few of you have already familiarized with our website, have already familiarized basically with, let's say, some basic information that relates to our program, but more in general, I just want to share with you what's the essence, so the DNA of our program. The program was established in 2014. So this year, we celebrate our 10th birthday. It's a fairly long time span in the life of a master program. So we are quite proud of what we have achieved. And we have also changed quite a bit in these 10 years. What has not changed is, let's say, the rationale and the philosophy of our learning focus. Our learning focus is primarily on international relations. The idea is that once you are done, once you are graduate from our program, you will be a specialist in international relations, able to grasp the complexities of today's world, both in practical terms, but also with a strong theoretical and conceptual background. At the same time, and here is where really the two parts get together, we combine a strong focus on international relations with a specialization on area studies. And area studies, I will say a bit more about that as we proceed with our conversation. Area studies, which are very specific to the area, to the region in which Estonia is based. So in a sense, it's not just that you will be, let's say, theoretically, conceptually, in terms of notions, familiarized with those regions, but you will also have the chance to experience them firsthand by being based in Estonia, by profiting from our connections with those areas. Another feature that we are particularly proud of is the richness and the diversity of our faculty. We have a rich teaching team of world-known scholars that come from very different disciplinary backgrounds. They combine a very rich mix of knowledge and skills, and also they come from very different countries. And this really enriches the learning experience and combines very different academic traditions. The other part of the international experience is the study group. For those of you who one day will be joining our master program, you will experience a classroom which is extremely diverse. Extremely diverse both in terms of backgrounds, study experiences. Of course, the majority of our students come from political science, international relations, comparative politics, but we have also students who come from different disciplinary backgrounds, but primarily very different geographical backgrounds. We have students from North America and Europe, EU. We have students from Eurasia, broadly speaking. We have students from the Global South. And all of this meets in one classroom. It's a formidable way of learning. Now, the idea is very much that what we try to do is really to kind of, develop in you the skills to understand theoretically, conceptually, and practically in international relations, applying them to a specific area, so making you a specialist of that area, and also develop what are generally referred to as transferable skills. Basically, skills that are there and you can apply professionally once you get out of academia. Now, I just want to tell you also a word or two about our home, institutional home. Our institutional home is the Johann Schutte Institute of Political Studies. It was established in 2016. It's located in a very nice, bucolic 19th century building that you can see there in the slide. It's a hub that brings together very well-known scholars. There is a lot of well-focused research on international relations, but also comparative politics, European studies, and globalization, and so on and so forth, that takes place in our institute. There are weekly conferences, seminars, guest lectures coming and happening there, and you are very welcome once you join our program to experience all of that. We also have a number of research centers and bodies that take place inside and are based inside our institute. We have a center for Eastern European and Eurasian studies, which very clearly connects to the focus of our program. We have a center that studies the impact of new technologies on societies. We have just launched a year and a half ago a Jean Monnet EU-sponsored Center of Excellence which is called Rejuvenating Democracy in Europe. The idea is very much to connect to the democratic process, not only inside, but also in terms of international relations. All of this is open to you once you become a student of our program. So again, we really try to connect the academic part with really the experiential part. What is the added value? Well, the added value is that you will become to study not only in a world-renowned university, but also in an institute and an area of study, political science and international relations, which in Tartu has been one of the excellences, and also one of the excellences that is internationally recognized, and somehow profits from these international connections. The expertise that you will develop, as I said before, will focus on different areas from that, let's say, from Estonia, you can observe very clearly and very well. One is the European Union, basically, again, European studies. The other one is EU-Russia studies, relations between EU and Russia, relations that, of course, now are almost conflictual, but doesn't mean that they're not relations. And in a sense, like that interaction is worth studying. We have another module on Russia and Eurasia, which focuses on the Eurasian area. And then we have another study module, which is on the Baltic Sea region. So the idea is really that you can focus and become an expert of the area that you choose. And your study experience will be basically shaped by that choice. Also, along with, let's say, having access to experts, scholars, events that take place in our institute, we also offer to our students a wide variety of learning experiences outside of the class. For example, every year, we organize one field trip to conflict zones, and basically to study post-conflict regional developments. We also organize ad hoc trips as part of different projects that we organize and we are part of. Just to mention, in a couple of weeks, we will be going with 6 students to Ljubljana as part of an international project we are part of on digital diplomacy, and that, of course, will enrich quite a lot their learning experience. Also, many of our students have developed, after the graduation, careers in international or national institutions, governmental bodies, but also journalism, lobby groups, or NGOs. Also, a few of them have chosen to continue their career in academia. They've very successfully joined doctoral programs in Estonia, but also in many other European and North American universities. Other things that I think is worth mentioning. I already mentioned the very diverse group of students that we have in class. I would say that as a scholar and as a teacher in those classes, sometimes it's very difficult to find 3 students from the same country. In fact, it's almost impossible, I would say. And this includes sometimes also Estonia. I would say that this is a very unique added value, because it really gives you the possibility to learn not only from the book, but also from each other's very different background and very different experience. So it's really a formidable tool to learn 10 times more than just from formal learning. We have also an extensive network of cooperation with the foreign universities, and specifically targeted universities for each of those regional modules. So again, we have a good network of universities that connect to European studies, others that connect to Eurasian studies, others that connect to the Baltic Sea region. And during your study, we will be very much supporting you. In fact, it's highly recommended to study abroad for at least 1 semester during the 3rd semester in one of those universities to experience, again, not only the practical life in those countries, but also simply to bring in new study experience. We also have a possibility of double degrees. In addition, in fact, double degree with the Freie Universität Berlin. In addition, we also develop a number of extracurricular activities, not necessarily in terms of trips this time, but in terms of summer schools, workshops, ad hoc events organized for students and alumni. And the last 2 things I would like to mention are the following. The first one is that we very much think also of the after-study life. So again, we support our students in the identification of an internship that fits their perspective, their goals, and we support them in pursuing it. And also, an additional point, in Tartu, and as part of our program, you are very much incentivized to learn a foreign language that might be relevant and useful for your future career. And this is done together with the College of Languages and Culture at the University of Tartu. Now, a couple of more words about the curriculum itself. Now, the curriculum consists of 6 modules, each of them pertaining to a different number of ECTS. We have the methods module. The methods module will really make your shoulders strong when it comes to be able to conduct sound research. And in fact, it will be very relevant also to, in the end, write your thesis, but also, again, when we think about your life after the study program, to be to have those seminal research skills that very often are so important also in the job market, not only in academia. I myself am involved in that module. I teach a course called Social Science Methodologies. Along with that, you will have another set of courses that relate specifically to the dimension of methods or methodology itself, such as constructive theories and method, qualitative and interpretative methods, and quantitative methods. Then we have what I generally call the core module of international relations. I will say a bit more about that in a minute, but think of this as really the foundation of the house that you're going to be after the graduation. It really will provide you the skills and the knowledge of an IR expert. Then we go to the specialization modules, the one that I mentioned before. There are 4 of them, each of them consisting of 4 courses that in total make up 24 ECTS. You have also elective modules. Elective modules basically consist of courses that supplement your study experience and help you to really personalize your focus in the direction where you want to go. For example, we have diplomacy, we have geopolitics, globalization, politics and political system of EU member states, a research field, field research in conflict areas, regional conflicts in Eurasia, US foreign policy, and so on and so forth. Then we have optional courses. You can still customize even more your learning experience outside of the offer of our institute. Those CCTS you can basically use to take very different courses offered by the University of Tartu, including languages. And then we have a 30 ECTS module that consists, in fact, of your final work of the MA thesis. Now, just a couple of words more about the core. The core module is really designed to provide you with the foundations of international relations. There you basically have conflict management resolution, foreign policy analysis, international law, international relations, security policy. These are the ones that every student that graduates from our program should take and will have to successfully finalize. Now, a word more about regional modules. As I said, there are 4 of them. EU Studies module, EU-Russian Studies module, Russian and Eurasian Studies module, and Baltic Sea region module. Each of them, as I said, consists of a specific set of courses. These ones are crafted in order really to address your thirst for specialization in those areas. For example, just to give you a couple of examples, in the module on EU studies, you have EU institutions and policy making, EU law, the EU in international politics, and theories of European integration. All of them will come to, again, deepen your understanding of that specific area, regional area. If we go, for example, for Russian and Eurasian studies module, there you would find political system in the post-Soviet space, politics and society in Russia, Russian economy, and Russian foreign policy. So this is very much what you will find when it comes again to the study experience and the study offer that we have in our program. Students are free to choose, let's say, their study module. In fact, already during the first semester, we ask our students to identify the study module, the regional module they want to join. And so we will drive them, we'll kind of guide them across that study experience. Now, when it comes to our expertise, here are just some of the areas that we cover in terms of disciplinary knowledge with respect to the program. From critical geopolitics, by the way, the director of the program, Professor Eiki Berg, is a specialist in the area. Biopolitics, very much applied to geopolitics, European studies, EU foreign and security policy, Baltic Sea region, Europeanization, and so on and so forth. And this is just a little bite of the wide menu that, in fact, we can offer. And we really invite you all to go to their webpage of the program and really to explore more who our people are, what is our offer, and so on and so forth. Now, with this, I would like maybe to share a couple of words more before we finish this introduction, but I want to stop sharing the slides. I just want to share with you a word or two about the environment in which this study will take place. Again, Tartu is a very nice town. 1/5 of the population of the city is students, and you will have, in fact, multiple opportunities to kind of enjoy your study experience in Tartu. But now, let's say beyond this, I think that maybe the best thing that we can do at the moment is like, you can post your questions. You can ask any question that relates to the program, to the town, to the study experience, to the institutes, to our group of students, and I will be extremely happy to address all of them. Okay, I saw the question. So, what are some of the internships that students have had in the past? Also, what exchange universities have students been to before? Yeah, thanks a lot, Charlie, for your question. Well, when it comes to the internships, again, they vary quite a bit. We had students doing their internship, for example, in embassies, doing their internships, for example, in their own countries, ministries, or in their own countries, institutions, if the countries provide the opportunity for students to do that. Other students have been doing their internships in, for example, media. We have quite a few of them who have started maybe cooperating with newspapers or media outlets, and then basically after the graduation stayed there. EU internships are also fairly common. Other possibilities include also, for example, think tanks, NGOs. These are basically the most common experiences of internship that I would think about at the moment. But in that sense, what I think is very important is to be able to connect your internship with where you want to be, what you want to do after. And in that sense, I can say that not only in the case of the medias and somehow newspapers and so on, but also in general, we had a lot of students who, after having spent a period of internship in different institutions, third sector, private sector, public sector, then basically have found a satisfactory job there or in organizations that were close to that. Even in embassies, we generally are not so easy somehow to guarantee, let's say, that professional continuity. We had students who started an internship and then basically stayed there as a job. In terms of exchange universities, well, again, we have a quite wide network. You can basically check the offer of which universities we have in the available for exchanges in our university websites. When it comes to European universities and universities that fall within the Erasmus Plus project and framework, they are supported by the Erasmus framework, but there are also possibilities to support internships in universities not covered by the Erasmus exchange framework through other funds. But basically, again, we have universities in pretty much every EU member state. We have universities in most of Eurasian countries. Because of the war, we have no connection at the moment ongoing with Russian and Belarusian universities. We have connection with North American universities, and so on and so forth. Now, and I hope I addressed your question. And again, you can always reach me via email. I will share with you my contacts in the chat, and ask for additional questions. Zoe asked, could you tell us a bit about Estonian academic culture? I'm from Germany, a bit studying France, for example, experience academic, French academic system is more focused on authority than the German one. Yes, that's a good question. I'm myself not originally from Estonia. I'm originally from Italy, where academia tends to be a bit more hierarchical and a bit less flat in terms of, let's say, relationship. Here in Estonia, I would say that we have a quite flat relationship in terms of academic culture. A relationship with students is fairly open, and I would say non-formalistic. Also, the fact that we use English as our working language to some extent helps in reducing, let's say, distances. You know, in English, you use you with pretty much everyone, from the Queen, in fact, maybe the Queen not, but let's say from pretty much everyone to your colleagues and your chaps, your friends. So in that sense, it's a quite open, relaxed, and friendly environment. And in that sense, I also want to stress that we organize a number of events. There are a number of occasions in which we have a very flat interaction between our students and our teaching staff. We are always very approachable. We have an open door policy. You can always pop up in our offices and, let's say, ask questions and contact us, and you will definitely have the answer you're looking for. Zuniga, Andy, you ask, can this master program be related to the problems in Latin America, for example? To some extent, yes, but let's say, as I mentioned during the introduction, the program has 4 primary regional focuses, or foci. One is EU, the other one is EU and Russia, the other one is Eurasia, and the other one is Baltic Sea region. It is possible to look at another region in the world, and it is possible, here I would recommend in connection to one of the regions you're looking at. For example, if you would be interested, let's say, in a comparative study, let's say, between the regional integration experience in the EU and Mercosur, that would be definitely something that I would encourage you to pursue. If you want, for example, to look at the experience of South America in terms of relations with Eurasia, or again, within the framework of the BRICS, that could also be a very good focus for your research, and you would definitely find the tools, the intellectual tools, and also the support that you need within the framework of our faculty to conduct your research in the best way. Now, when it comes to Khan, we have a question that relates to the selection process. In fact, more specifically, the evaluation criteria. Now, you will find all the details about the admission criteria when it comes to the website. I will just go through that. Basically, you have 2 components that come to define your ranking, your assessment when it comes to the application. One is the average grade that cover basically 50% of the final score. And then basically the admission interview that will cover other 50% of the final score. So we have 50% coming from the average grade and 50% coming from the admission interview. The average grade shouldn't be lower than 60% of the maximum. When it comes to the admission interviews, they will take place from the 3rd to the 7th of April. We have an assessment committee that consists of 3 people, and all of them will be present there during the interviews. And what we will be assessing during that conversation with you will be a couple of factors. First of all, your motivation and ambition, how strongly motivated you are to join our program, to what extent your research interest and your aspirations are compatible with what we can offer in our institute, how much you are aware of what, let's say, the program offers, and how much that matches what are your goals and, again, ambitions. And third, your oral skills, English language, since the program is held in English language. This is pretty much the criteria that will determine the selection process in our program. Zoe has another question. How flexible is the study period of 4 semesters? Are students absolutely obliged to finish their studies in these 2 years? Well, students are not obliged. Of course, they are strongly incentivized, as given my institutional role, I shouldn't say otherwise, to get graduate within the 2 years, but they can ask for an extension, and that extension can go up to 1 year. In addition, if you spend a period abroad of 1 semester, the period abroad will come to complement your study time. So in that sense, yes, there is some flexibility. And of course, we have new students, I would say maybe generally every year, I would talk about, let's say, maybe 30–25% that instead of graduating in the curricular time, maybe do it in the semester after or in the 2nd semester after. We have another question from Daria. Question, in the case of being a student in your program and choosing specialization, for example, European studies, what exactly will be indicated in the diploma? Yes, basically the diploma in any case will be a diploma, a master degree in international relations and regional studies. Then in the diploma supplement, which is the one provided as part of the Bologna process, you will have the description of the courses taken, and of course their specialization in European studies will be highlighted. But the degree and basically the diploma that you will get will be one in international relations and regional studies, regardless of what your study area or basically your regional specialization. Then we have another question from Ziti. I want to join a student exchange at the University of Tartu, but I'm a bit confused how easily to join international community. I think that exchange students generally work, let's say, as part of, let's say, not full-time students. So I suppose that here the question more relates to, if I come to Tartu, how open is the community, the university, and so on and so forth. So I suppose we are talking about a full-time study experience. I can share with you a couple of thoughts. Again, I myself came not as a student, but not as a local to Tartu by now, in fact, almost 12 years ago. And I was very impressed by the diversity and basically the richness of cultures that you can find in Tartu. Tartu is not a big city, at least if we move away from Estonian size. Estonia is a small country, and Tartu, of course, is the 2nd largest city of Estonia, but let's say in European terms is a quite small city, is 100,000 inhabitants. But again, as I said already before, 1/5 of the students, 1/5 of the population of Tartu is either students or people related to university. When it comes to our institute, we are a very international institute. We're a very international institute, both in terms of teaching staff, but also in terms of students. If you look at the master level, Estonian students are not the majority. For sure, they are the plurality, but we have more students that have international background than Estonian nationals. So it's actually a very diverse study community. And for sure, you will be very welcome in this international community. So again, you will not feel somehow the only international in a very close and secluded environment, but absolutely the opposite. It's a very open, it's a very diverse environment, it's a very welcome and friendly environment. And in general, I would say, if you look at the study experiences of students in Estonia and in Tartu, they are generally very positive, I would say, if you look at pretty much all the reports. We have one question from Charlie. What could a typical week look like for a student in this program, workload specifically? Yeah, that's a good question. Generally, we would recommend to students to take around 30 ECTS of courses every semester. Of course, can be 30, 35, but around that. Generally, the courses take place, obviously, during the week. You would have, let's say, around 2 courses per day, 2 to 3 courses. Our courses last basically for 90 minutes. They consist of 2 academic hours. Each academic hour is 45 minutes. So basically, your study time for one course during the day will be 90 minutes. We have our study semester lasts 16 weeks. For example, now the spring semester will start in mid-February, but not all the courses necessarily will last 16 weeks. You can also have courses that last 12 or last 14, depending basically on the number of ECTS and on the organization of the studies. You would have exams that are, or let's say tests, assessment that will be spread across the semester. Also, of course, as we approach the end of the semester, more will come. In terms of study size, you would have basically classrooms that I would say are generally not more than 25 students. So again, the numbers, we try to keep them relatively small because we believe that quality matters more than quantity. There are a few exceptions. For example, the course that I teach in methodology is a very large one. We have students from pretty much all the programs that that are offered by our institute. So for this reason, numbers are much bigger, but these are exceptions. In terms of, let me think what else could be relevant. In terms of workload, yes, there will be for every course generally readings to kind of, familiarize with, exercise or group work to be done together. We try to really invest also in interactive learning, and a few courses are based on problem-based learning. So basically, again, there will be a problem or a challenge to solve together in group. I would say that we have almost every week quite a bit happening beyond the class. I myself, for example, organize every year a circle of seminar called MEPs Seminar, in which I invite one by one the Estonian members of the European Parliament to meet the students and discuss. We have ambassadors coming, we have scholars, we have conferences, quite a few from time to time. In fact, towards the beginning of summer, we will have in Tartu, in fact, sorry, June, but this is still open to students. We will have in Tartu a conference on Eurasian studies, and students are very welcome to join every one of these conferences and every one of these events. So in that sense, you are very welcome to be part of our institute community. It doesn't matter if you are a student or if you are a scholar. you are welcome to join our events. Let me see if we have other questions. Okay. For now, I don't see other questions. Let me just try to, in the chat, if I find a way to do it. Yes. Basically, the link to the program website, and in case you want to drop me an email, my email address, if you have any question. Maybe we can wait a couple of other minutes in case there are additional questions. If not, then again, it was a great pleasure to have the chance to talk to you. I hope to see some of the faces behind these names next year joining us in Tartu. And as of now, I just send you greetings from Estonia, and I wish you a beautiful continuation of the day. Have a nice day. Bye-bye, everyone.